I recorded my first video yesterday, and something, I won't say strange happened, but something that made me reflect a little bit. What I thought was, when I pressed record, the words started flowing out of my mouth pretty easily. When I looked up, eventually 15 minutes had passed and I'd been talking to the camera, and that felt natural and more natural than I thought it would, talking to a camera, because that's not what I generally do. I don't talk to cameras in my day-to-day. And then when I'd finished recording and was ready to upload it to YouTube, because that was the plan, my first thought was, is this too embarrassing to post? Will people I know see this? And so it made me hesitate. But then what I did was what I've done in certain cases where I think something might be a little, where I'm a little uncertain of doing something, I'll just do it and deal with the consequences after. And that's served me relatively well in, career, everything. Sometimes it's best just to do the thing and ask for permission. Instead of asking for permission, if you need to apologize afterwards, that's fine. Rather do that, but get the thing done and let the outside world react to it, and if it is embarrassing, that's okay, because what I've found is that if you're embarrassed by something that's happened in your past, it means you've probably grown from that point. So you've experienced growth since then, and you can look back at something that's happened in the past and be embarrassed, and that's okay, because you probably wouldn't be the same person who did those things in the past. That's kind of my philosophy about the whole thing. So that's a long way of saying, once I've got through this whole fear of embarrassment of posting, I posted the YouTube video up. But something interesting happened. I started, these ideas just started flowing out of my head, because I rewatched it before I posted it. And as I was rewatching it, I was looking at certain things, how I delivered. Is my voice too soft? Is my, am I a bit conscious of my own voice, like most people are? All these kinds of little things that I was just watching as I was watching the video back and reflecting. And so I started taking notes and jotting things down that might be, things I've done badly, or things I could be doing better, or ideas for future videos even. And it just started to flow out of me. And I went to the bathroom to wash my hands, and as I was doing that, things just continued to run through my head. And so I had to, I couldn't wait to get back to my computer and just jot down a few more things, just to find, just to see where this all ended up. I've been brain dumping a lot of things lately and finding it helpful. So that was what happened, and I came up with all these ideas and stuff. And then I woke up this morning, the day after, and what I remember talking about in yesterday's video, because I only planned on recording another one a week later, but one thing I spoke about was enjoying the journey and where you are in the moment, instead of looking forward to the next thing always. Because once you achieve something, you're on to the next thing, and you look back and go, I probably should have enjoyed that a little bit more, but in the moment you don't think that way, because it's something you've got to get through. So I woke up this morning, I've been reading this book called Flow. I've got my computer in front of me, and I can't remember the author, but it's called Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience, and it's by Mihaly, I can't pronounce the last name, but if you are interested in what the book is, just comment below, and I'll put the name and author in the description. But I've been reading this book for the last few days, and I stumbled upon a chapter because what I did this morning was a little different in my wake up routine. Normally I'll wake up, I'll reach my phone and I'll start scrolling news articles and sports and whatever, and get stuck there for like 30-40 minutes before I actually get up. And so this morning, instead of doing that, I looked at my phone, checked the weather, etc. first, but did it for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then picked up this book that I've been reading. And the chapter that I've somehow stumbled upon, or somehow, that I've gotten into right now, is very similar to what I was saying yesterday in terms of how you enjoy where you are in the present and how you're more in the present. And so I've got in front of me here, it's called, the chapter's called Pleasure and Enjoyment. And so what they're trying to explain really is that there's 2 different ways of enjoying and being satisfied and happy with your life. And I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but one way is by experiencing pleasure, and the other is by experiencing enjoyment. And now pleasure is more about what most people think happiness is about, about good food, about the comforts that money can buy, etc. So we imagine, traveling to these exotic places, being surrounded by interesting company, buying expensive gadgets, all that kind of thing, and that's pleasure, and gives you a certain sense of satisfaction. They say pleasure is a feeling of contentment that one achieves whenever information in consciousness says that expectations set by biological programs or by social conditioning have been met. So the taste of food, etc. But while people need pleasure, the flip side is when what actually makes your life rewarding. And when you move beyond these pleasant memories and etc., and you begin to remember other things, other experiences that overlap with the pleasurable ones, that's when you experience enjoyment. And so enjoyable events occur when a person has not only met some prior expectation or satisfied a need or desire, but also gone beyond what he or she has been programmed to do and achieved something unexpected, perhaps something even unimagined before. And that's interesting because it can overlap with pleasure, but what it says is that we can experience pleasure without any investment of psychic energy, whereas enjoyment happens only as a result of unusual investments of attention. A person can feel pleasure without any effort if the appropriate centers in his brain are electrically stimulated, or as a result of the chemical stimulation of drugs, but it's impossible to enjoy a tennis game, a book, or a conversation unless attention is fully concentrated on the activity. So my understanding, and I haven't finished this chapter yet, but my understanding of this whole thing is that enjoyment is you have to have attention directed at something to experience the enjoyment, and it helps you experience growth, whereas something pleasurable like sitting down to watch a show after work, switching your mind off kind of after the work day and settling in to watch a TV show, you don't have to have a particular amount of attention paid to that. It's kind of just happening to you, whereas enjoyment is when you are putting something, putting a certain amount of attention towards something, and you experience a certain outcome from that, and you almost, once it's done, you almost wish like you could go back to it, but in the moment you might not necessarily fully be enjoying it because you are in this flow state almost. And so I equate that to what happened to me yesterday with recording the video and what might be happening right now, because I'm looking at the timer and there's 10 minutes that have passed already, and I've been rambling on, and it might be a little convoluted, and I might not have arrived at the point yet, and it's taken me a while to get there, but I'm realizing that in that moment where something is as stimulating as recording a video, and I have to give my full attention to this without thinking of anything else, I'm able to do that and not really think about other things. And then once it's done, it's kind of cool because I start to think of more ideas, and I almost wish that I enjoyed the moment of recording the video more. But on the flip side, I shouldn't be thinking about things like that in the video, because then it takes my attention away from being in the flow state, and that might not make any sense at all. But it made me want to record another video today, which is the ultimate point of this, because I wanted to experience that again, and I didn't want to have to wait a week to do that, and I didn't want to have to wait to finish the chapter in the book to do that, because I felt I could talk about this in a video that would help me get this out of my system also, and look back on it in retrospect, and then probably get more ideas from the video after watching it back again. So I think I'll leave it there for now, because it's a lot to take in during one video. I will say what I forgot to say earlier was the worry about someone else seeing my videos that I know and judging me. You realize how small that possibility is when you think about the fact that you probably won't get many views on your first few videos. They'll probably be terrible. And so I'm kind of okay with the fact that these first few videos of mine might not be great, but it'll mean taking something from each one that moves me forward into the next one and doing something better, or just learning about myself a bit more, or whatever. Like, I used to think this was about the number of views I might get or the number of subscribers I might get if I started a YouTube channel, but it's starting to feel more to me like this is more for me, and if it helps other people then great, but it's helping me unpack what I'm feeling inside of me, and it's putting me in some kind of flow state where I'm not thinking of anything else. I'm talking to the camera, which in itself is weird, but I'm starting to get used to, and that's weird to say after only doing it a couple of times, and there's a lot I've got to improve about this kind of thing, but I think this has been helpful so far in the 2 times I've done this, and so that's why I'll leave this here, because I've got so many more ideas for videos, follow-up videos, things I want to talk about, but I don't want to confuse it with what I discussed in this one. So I'm going to try and do this often as I can. I don't know that I can stick to a daily version of this, but I'm going to try and do it as often as I'm able to, and continually improve and continually be able to learn something about myself and where I eventually want to end up. So bear with me. I hope this somewhat made sense, but I think I'll leave it there for now. Thanks again for listening.